First of all, let me thank you for giving me this unique opportunity to express my condolences to the people of Tanzania, the government of Tanzania, for the loss of their beloved president. Mr. Speaker, someone once said that truth is like a lion. You do not have to defend it. You let it loose, and it shall defend itself. Mr. Speaker, what we've learned from the late His Excellency John Pombe Magufuli was that as a public servant and as a government, what a government ought to do is to be able to find local solutions to local problems. Mr. Speaker, the late President Magufuli will be remembered by many as a person who loved his country, as a person who believed that as a leader, you're only given a very short time to serve, and you need to be remembered for what you've done. Some of the most controversial things that I remember that Magufuli did, which some of them will consider them controversial, would be one, that I think we in this country, and particularly the executive, parliament, and the judiciary should learn from. Number one, when I say the truth is like a lion, you don't have to defend it. If you just set it loose, it will defend itself. The one thing that Magufuli did was that he reduced his cabinet from 30 to 19. He went ahead and also curbed lavish government spending, which in this country, both the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative arm of government thrive in. He reduced delegation from 50 to 4 members so that they can be able to curb down this lavish spending. Those are things that any leader should be able to do. Mr. Speaker, when I heard that the late Magufuli had suspended the spending of lavish budgets during World International AIDS Day, it shocked me. But then, when I heard the response as to why he had done that, then I looked up to him and I said, one day, when I'm president of this country, I shall be able to do the same. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry, when the late Magufuli decided to cancel International World AIDS Days and use that money instead to buy drugs to be able to curb the disease, that meant so much, not only for Tanzania, but it should have been a lesson for the rest of our leaders. When you speak about truth, Madam Speaker, some of the things that I see happening in this country, I wish that we cannot just preach, water and drink wine. One of the biggest problems we have is that when we have local problems, which some of us are the ones who are the cause of those problems, instead of us now running away from it, or instead of us putting our own selfish interests, we should be looking at local solution. Madam Speaker, I know that Magufuli would not have looked at, for example, a company like the National Oil Corporation, which is now in debt with both Kenya Commercial Bank and the Standard Bank, and given it and suggested that it should be given out to private companies to be able to try and put that company back. He would have looked at the government and said, we must have a solution to this problem. But instead, this country called Kenya, we don't look at our neighbors here and learn from them and see the progress that Magufuli brought into Tanzania. Instead, we put our own personal interest. This is something, Madam Speaker, which I really pray that all the leaders, cabinet secretaries, I came across a letter which was written by the cabinet secretary for Treasury, to the National Oil Corporation, and telling them that we cannot be able to inject more money into the company. What we need to do is for you to look for a suitable company out there and surrender the interim management of the company to try and be able to, to rebuild the company. I see that as running away from the problems that we have in this country. What Magufuli would have done is would have sat down, try to discover what was the problem, as he has done so in so many incidences that were demonstrated in social media when he tried to solve problems. Madam Speaker, the people of Tanzania will remember their leader as someone who did not cherish lavish spending, someone who did not see himself as very superior or someone who cannot be reached by anyone. I've seen several videos where individuals just go to him and say, please, Bona President, help me. And he would go back to the little salary that he earned. Because what I remember very well, Madam Speaker, and this is one of the things that I'll remember President Magufuli for, is that when he took over as president, he reduced his salary from $15,000 to $4,000 a month. That is something that we, as leaders in this country, cannot even contemplate. We cannot even think of doing that. And he was still able to share the $4,000 that he earned with the people who came crying to him for support. Madam Speaker, the demise of President Magufuli really should teach us a lesson. That we're in this world for a very, very, very brief moment. No one would have thought that Magufuli would die. But it just reminds us that we're all mortal beings. That the brief moment that we're given from our mother's womb to our tomb, we should not be remembered on how much wealth we accumulate in this country, but how much we serve the people who actually elect us and give us an opportunity to represent them. You know, when we go out there, there are so many controversies. One which was very interesting, and I always remember Magufuli for, is that he actually looked at the people who were busy promoting birth control pills and saying, you people are lazy. You're saying you cannot raise more than 2 kids. You know, I think now, for me, I believe that I think we should not even consider birth control pills. What we should be doing is that we should be trying to emulate what Magufuli said, because once we have responsibilities, then we can actually be able to fight this issue called corruption. Because when you know that you have to provide for more than 2 children, then you will stop being lazy. So, Madam Speaker, I know that a lot of my colleagues would like to contribute to this, and I would like just to end by saying the following things. We should learn to speak the truth, and we should learn to defend it. That's what I saw in Magufuli, although some of the things that he said could have been controversial, but based on what he stood for. You know, that is one thing that most of us in this country, you know, anytime you're seen to be standing firm, instead of people judging you by the content of your speech or by your stand, they start saying this person is flip-flopping, has gone to this political party, has done all these things. It is a matter which my colleague, Senator Orengo, was talking about. Standing firm and being known for speaking the truth and defending that truth is what we should be doing in terms of looking at leaders, looking at their characters. And us as leaders, we should not try to gain mileage. We should not try to gain mileage by using other leaders' names. You know, my good friend, Senator Malala, the other day spoke about him having spoken to me so that I can join the ANC. In fact, the other day I asked him, I said, my brother, when did you speak to me? For me, I can be as controversial as I want to be, but I remain a member of ODM. So all these hula baloos that this person has gone to Tanga, we should look back at what Magufuli used to say. He didn't care. In fact, one day he arrested our own people, the Maasais, who apparently were grazing cows in a game reserve. It took the intervention of my party leader, you know, Raila Amolo Odinga, for those Maasais to be released. So I thank that. He stood firm, he said this is what we want to do, and we respected each other. So, Madam Speaker, finally, I want to encourage the widow, Her Excellency Janet Magufuli, to take heart. Because this is just a passing cloud. All of us here are a passing cloud. You know, there's that song where people used to sing and say, this world is not my home. I truly believe in it. And finally, for the president-elect, or the president who has taken over, you know, Her Excellency President Suluhu, I hope that the rest of us in this country called Kenya can be able to see that even a woman can become president of this country.